Bob 2.0 here, and I am just visiting with you just for a little bit this morning from inside the church that I pastor at. This is the front of the church here, and it's not a big church, but for central Wisconsin, it's average sized church. So, the reason why I'm talking to you from inside of a church building today is because there are a lot of people that are living in bondage in places like this. Well, not just this church, but I think if you pick just any church, Bible-believing church across the nation, maybe across the world, although philosophies change a little bit overseas a little more, and I actually enjoy that. There's a lot of people that are running scared and just living in complete bondage that's literally paralyzing them from doing what God's called them to do, and that is simply to love people. What I'm talking about is people being in bondage to prophecy, prophetic words, being in bondage to the prophetic, and wondering what's next. I'm getting a lot of questions and talks right now regarding April and this year and next year regarding the blood moons and all of this stuff that's going on. And it's just interesting, all the emails I'm getting, because people are just wondering more and more, like, are we in the end times? And there's so many signs pointing to it, from President Obama being in office to the blood moons that are coming up, and just so many different things. And here's what I'm finding to be true. The church has always been divided on this topic. Is it pre-trib? Is it mid-tribulation? Is it post-tribulation regarding the rapture? Is this person going to be the Antichrist? Is that person going to be the Antichrist? And it's really quite interesting. I used to work in the Christian bookstore industry for quite a few years, and it was always interesting when people would write a book regarding end times, and, well, they were off by a little bit. Okay, a lot. And a couple years later, they had put out the revised edition, and yet people were buying it up. It's just interesting. I think people are fascinated with that realm of Christianity, that realm of the future, and I think that kind of plays into the sci-fi area as well with movies and all of that. But, here's what I do know. I don't care. Quite honestly, I don't care regarding prophecy. It's interesting, and we should be watching. Scripture makes that clear. We should be watching. We should be looking for signs. But, the Scripture makes it clear also that nobody knows the time or day. And so what I do know, though, is that we have a job to do. Quite simply, we have a job to do. And when we're so paralyzed by the events and watching news and tuning into CBN, TBN, Fox News, CNN, all of these news shows, because we want to see what the next events are, and how is this event over in Israel going to play out with the U.S., and stocks are crashing today, and the markets that are going on over in Japan are going up. What does this mean for end times? Who cares? At the end of the day, who really cares? Because God's called us to do one thing and one thing only: love each other and serve each other. This is the greatest commandment. So what are we doing by constantly diving into books that have all been theories, really, at the end of the day? What are we doing with that? Well, we end up huddling into little groups. We leave churches because they're not preaching enough on the end times. We make friends, or we lose friends over the tribulation question. It really leaves us living in bondage. How about the next time we start talking about it, let's also talk about the same issue of, what are you doing to serve? What are you doing to love people? For the people that aren't at your church, that are quite honestly not thinking like you, well, if you want more people there like that, when is the last time you've invited someone to church? These are things we need to do. Taking care of the homeless, taking care of the widows, the orphans, all of these people in our society. What are we doing about that? The end time stuff, hey, what's going to happen is what's going to happen. As one person told me, if it doesn't affect your birth date, don't worry about it. So, good little challenge for us today. Let's leave the prophecy alone. Let's, it's fun. It's recreational theology to dive in on that. But the minute we start living in bondage to it, we probably need to change it up a little bit and realize the main thing is loving and serving people. And quite honestly, if you're really that much into prophecy, if you're really that much into end times, you'd probably be doing more to tell people about who Jesus Christ is. Shoot me your questions, pastorbobadams@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. We'll talk to you soon.